So the question I'm trying to answer with my dissertation are parasites driving the sexual trait divergence and speciation? I'm going to apologize, I'm losing my voice a little bit, but I'll try and talk loud. So really beautiful and elaborate male traits like you see here really confused early scientists like Charles Darwin, because it didn't make sense when we thought of them in terms of natural selection. How could traits like this help these animals survive or avoid predators? What we now know is that while the plumage of this bird of paradise doesn't necessarily help it survive better or escape from predators, it helps it attract females. And these females don't just have an eye for beauty. They're not just attracted to these traits for no reason or because they think they're attractive. They actually get information from these traits that help them pick the best males in a population to be their mates. And what information these traits advertise really varies. So some attractive traits may signal to the female that that male may have fewer parasites or may be resistant to those parasites. Other traits may signal that that male is a better forager, better at finding food or resources in his environment. Still other traits may signal that that male is a better father, that takes better care of his nestlings, or that that male has better territories that have more resources for the female. But what traits and what information the female uses when she chooses mates is really going to depend on the environment. And that environment's going to dictate what information is actually the most useful for her to use when she's picking a male. And this is important because when we have a species like the barn swallow that's spread over a really wide environment, in this case across all of the northern hemisphere, different areas are going to have different environments that lead that female to maybe use different information. And so over time, this can actually cause females to use different sexual traits in these different environments. And this is important because using different sexual traits to select mates is a key first step in becoming new species. And so species like the barn swallow that are right at the beginning of this process offer us a really unique and interesting opportunity to kind of ask, how do new species form? And how do these sexual traits play a role in that speciation? So for my dissertation research, I'm actually studying 3 different populations of barn swallows in Colorado, in the Czech Republic, and in Israel. And these 3 populations make a really interesting comparison to ask questions about speciation and sexual traits. And in particular, my dissertation is actually asking questions about information that these traits give to females about parasites in particular. And so in Colorado, when females choose their mates, they actually are interested in looking at this dark ventral coloration. So males with darker breast feathers are actually more attractive to females. And what my work has shown is that this color is actually signaling better territories. So darker males have better territories with nests with fewer nest mites in them that actually feed on nestlings. And this is important because these nest mites can actually kill nestlings. So it's important information for the female. And lots of work actually prior to my dissertation in the Czech Republic where females actually look only at tail streamers instead of color, has shown that these tail streamers are linked with parasite resistance in adults. So these adults have fewer ectoparasites, and they seem to have better resistance genes. So Israel offers the really perfect 3rd population for my study because females are really picky there, and they actually look at both traits. So So they select for males that are both dark in color and also have very long tail streamers. So now the question is, what do these traits actually signal? And I can't tell you. So I just actually returned from Israel 3 days ago from doing this research. And what I hope to be able to answer once I analyze all my data is whether these signals are giving the same information to females in this population, or are they giving completely different information that's really relevant to the particular environment in Israel. And I'd like to thank the Dean's Research Grant in particular, because it was that funding that made my trip to Israel and that research possible. So thank you. Yeah.
It seems to me that this introduces a great deal of intentionality into what we are told by Darwin is a very random process.
Yeah, so female mate choice, in some ways you can think about it as a random process over time. And the way we think about it is that it's costly, right? So if you're a female, going with the first male you see sort of eliminates any time that you would spend searching. And so there's sort of a cost to picking the best male. So only when the trait that they're looking at sort of gives them some benefit does that cost over time make any sense. So really the only female choice that's going to continue over time is female choice that's actually beneficial, because otherwise it's actually maladaptive for the female. Hopefully that answers your question. Yeah.
Someone outside of the field, what's your figure of merit that lets you know that these females definitely prefer these traits in this population or no? Is it just brute force?
So that's actually a great question. So in these birds, it's all about the female choice. So the female really is the one that controls the mating. And so prior to my dissertation, the reason I'm using these three populations in particular is there's been some really fascinating experiments where we go in and we actually change male traits. So we either color them darker or glue on longer tail streamers. And then we see how the female preferences change. And we do this by looking at how many offsprings belong to which male. So the females will allocate paternity to the most attractive males. So yeah, that's how we figure it out. So, thank you.